Taking things to heart. Have you ever found yourself doing this? Reacting in the moment? Me too. It's quite an organic, intuitive human response. We all recognize it. It's a personal response, isn't it? I'm sitting at my small portable desk. I love this desk. I can take it half in and half out of the garden. I can see red geraniums growing before my very eyes, and tiny tomatoes blushing and ripening in the sun that we sometimes get in the UK. And through the open door, I can hear the wind rustling through the acer tree or the rain pattering on the roof. And because the door's open, next door's cat sneaks in. She stops for treats and she hisses at me for no reason. And it was that very hiss that made me wonder, is she taking what I'm saying to her to heart? I don't know. And as her tiny paws retreat soundlessly on the patio, she's not stomping off in a mood. She's going off to catch an unwitting pond skater, big, fat, juicy one, scooping it out of the pond. She's getting on with life. She's not taking it to heart. And it got me wondering, or even wondering, as the day stretches out before me. And last night, the opportunity of a whole day of wondering what to do, if I'm really honest, felt a bit scary because I'm quite in touch with that scary feeling, going through a period of grief and loss over my son, Anthony. But today it feels differently because I didn't focus there. I didn't focus anywhere. I let it go. And I got to be honest, sometimes it takes a while to let things go. But what does happen if we get hold of something and take it personally? A bee just landed on my lobelia. My lobelia. How dare it collect my pollen from my lobelia? Doesn't that sound ridiculous? And yet, that's what we do when we take things personally. Let me give you another scenario. Imagine you're minding your own business and listening to a podcast, walking through a beautiful park, and you look forward to this day all week. The joy of the trees and the dappled shade and the sound of the stream at the bottom as the path slopes downward. And you're listening to a beautiful podcast, a musical podcast. And you take a deep sigh and then you trip right over a dog lead. Splat, you land on the ground. And the person leading the dog says, "Watch where the beat you are going, you lousy son of a beep." Well, that's ruined the ambience, hasn't it? And the dog walkers shake their heads and walk away and tell all the other dog walkers how stupid you are, that person there in the red jacket on the ground. And you pick yourself up and you think, I'm not going on that walk following those dog walkers. I'm going home. The promise of a beautiful woodland walk has ebbed away. And you play that scene over and over in your head. How did you get from being in that beautiful, stretched out, lazy weekend morning, listening to your favourite music, strolling through the beginning of a wood, to flat on your face and being called lots of horrible names by the person you tripped over? Did they ruin your day? Well, you could think so if you like. What about looking at it differently? Let's explore this. Be like looking at the bee on the lobelia differently. Same sort of thing, really. It's just the B isn't as personal, is it? There's a clue. How about last week? How did that go for you? How did all of your experiences go down? Maybe you had a boss who clips your wings, a lover who doesn't return your call, a child who leaves that dirty laundry everywhere. In spite of what you're saying, what a mess. Or what about that friend who doesn't call you or even visit, even though somebody close to you's died? Nobody cares. Is that how it feels? It's always me who's told off by the boss. I'm always the first to call anyone, the first to make excuses for that person who hasn't been to visit, even though I secretly resent every bit of those experiences and they build up. Taking things to heart. Is this you occasionally? You're having a bad day, a bad week, a bad life. Taking things to heart, taking them personally. I'm not talking about major events in your life. I talk about those in other videos. I'm talking about your ordinary everyday experiences. What's happening in your life at this moment? Heart-based language. When things really touch your heart. And it's a bit like a heads or tails metaphor that I'm going to use. Really, they're choices. So heads, you can take it personally, like the walk in the park or the bee on the pollen. Or tails, you can see it unconditionally, as an observer. Not somebody who observes things happening and takes it to heart, but non-emotionally. A stepping back, an observer rather than a participant. In being the relationship, the circumstance or the scenario we find ourselves in at work or in our family relationships even, or with someone very close to us, we get choices. We get to be conditional or unconditional. We don't always see that in the moment. And there's the clue. In the moment, in the now time, when we pause, that's the best place to make a decision, to make a choice from. See, sometimes it's Tuesday, and on Tuesday it's a self-pity day, a leave me alone day. Can't you see how ill I am? This is the worst day of the week, and I can prove it too. Can't you see how busy I am on a Tuesday, how tired I am on a Tuesday, how sad I am on a Tuesday, how alone I am on a Tuesday? Poor Tuesday. And we contain ourselves in that way of being. We squeeze into our own self-made conditional thinking. And from there, from those made-up pieces, we make so many assumptions. Some of them were taught when we're growing up. And we're bound by their rules, by our rules. The boss dictates, the friend disowns, the lover leaves. Life's hard. And the good news is when you feel this, you're at a crossroads. You're ready. You're aware that this is happening in your life. Who's aware? Who is the I that's aware of all of that happening in your life? We'll come to that in part 2. You see, our evolution's caused when we see through the conditional choices we're making, even if we still think it's the other person. And we begin to question that. How's this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Who am I in this awkward, lonely, sad, angry, hurt place? Who am I? In asking the questions, we bring in a pause. a kind of an opportunity, a crack in the way we're thinking for the impersonal to come in. Actually, it doesn't come in, it's always there. It's just we block it. We put barriers in the way because love is our true nature. And I'm not talking about romantic love, because again, we can make that external. I'm talking about our inner love. I'm talking about who we are. Our true loving nature is expansive. It's infinite. We feel it occasionally. We get glimmers of it. It just feels free and easy. And life's experiences arise in this space. And you get to choose from there because you can hear the wisdom of the choice. We all know what happens when we choose conditionally. Oh, I'm not talking to that person. They didn't ring me last week when they said they would. And I'm not ringing them because every time I do, they're never in or they don't answer. And we can make it up, can't we? Like the bee on the pollen, that's my lobelia. This is my thinking. Oh, how's that working out for you? It really didn't work out for me. That's why I want to share the little bit of understanding I've got to see if it helps. Because all things arise in our awareness. It's like a carousel of choices going around and around, sometimes loving, sometimes scary, sometimes hurtful. And we jump on and off the carousel in life, choosing to respond, or choosing to be the observer. Oh, look at that. That person's reacting in that way. Oh, well, I'm just going to get on with the day. Choosing is truly the key to this. Choosing to observe and be aware of those experiences as they arise, or choosing to label them, make them conditional, jump right in, get messy, fall on the floor like the person over the dog lead. Or we can be in that spacious opportunist moment where we get to truly choose. We see what's arising and we make the choice from our inner wisdom. I'm not stepping onto the carousel this time. I know what happened last time I stepped on. Life got messy and it threw me off. I tripped up. We get to choose everything that arises in our life. That's a relief to me because I don't have to rely on the 8 billion other people on this earth to change. I don't even have to make me change. I just need to observe in the moment how things arise and to trust my inner wisdom to choose unconditionally. Hope you have an unconditional day. And even if you don't make the right choices, don't beat yourself up. You get more chances. You can bet your bottom dollar. Have a lovely day. You matter.